We have successfully mapped the life cycle of stars and predicted the behavior of galaxies located billions of light years away. That mastery extends to the measurable laws of energy and electricity, which we can now calculate with near-perfect accuracy. This rigorous mapping reaches down to the micro level, where we have successfully decoded the genetic material that builds biological life. We have even applied this scientific rigor to the human mind, mapping the electrical networks responsible for memory, language, and attention. Yet despite our verifiable map of these physical mechanics, the scientific method fails to explain the very entity that is observing that map. Modern machines are advanced information processors, capable of complex pattern recognition and rapid problem solving. The human brain performs similar tasks. Both the machine and the brain are systems moving electrical signals through circuits to process data. But there is a distinct difference. A computer processes data in the dark. It feels nothing, regardless of how complex the calculation becomes. Why does the human brain, which uses the exact same mechanical signaling, come with an intimate inner life? The redness of a sunset, or the sharp sting of a paper cut, these private, subjective experiences are known as qualia. We track where neurological data begins and ends, but between processing a signal and the resulting action, there is an unbridgeable gap, the experience itself. No universally accepted theory explains how matter generates this gap. This is the hard problem. Neuroscience can explain the mechanics of data processing, yet the question of why that processing feels like anything at all remains unanswered. For over a century, scientists have assumed that because damaging the physical brain changes a person's experience, the brain must be the generator of consciousness. However, correlation does not prove creation. Consider the logic of a radio. If you damage the hardware of a radio, the music becomes distorted. That distortion proves the hardware is involved in the performance, but it does not prove the radio created the song. This suggests an alternative theory. The brain might be a filter or a receiver for consciousness, rather than its source. At the deepest levels of reality, quantum physics shows that the mere act of observation directly alters how physical particles behave. If the brain acts as a filter, awareness is not a random biological accident, but a property built into the universe itself. If we question where consciousness comes from, we must also look at the self that is supposedly experiencing it. Clinical experiments show that many of the decisions you believe you are making are actually executed by your brain before you are even aware of them. When tracking the timeline of a choice, we see a neurological spike first. The brain registers activity milliseconds before conscious awareness logs it. Because biological signals start before conscious thought, the I arriving late is merely the brain narrating its own automated processes. From this perspective, thoughts, emotions, and memories are spontaneous outputs of a biological machine, not the fixed self we imagine. If the brain is a mechanical filter and the I is just a recurring story, we are left with a difficult question. Who exactly is aware of the narrative? Strip away the physical body, the mechanical networks of the brain, and the story of the self. Once the physical hardware and the generated stories are removed, the only undeniable truth left is the pure phenomenon of awareness. Every emotion you feel and every discovery we make occurs within this awareness. Without it, the universe exists, but it has no witness. Matter, hydrogen, carbon, and stardust, somehow organized into a form that could wake up and look back at its own origins. While we continue to search for answers in distant star fields and subatomic particles, the primary mystery of the universe remains the observer currently looking through your eyes.